Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this new episode, number 4, of these reminders of Ramadan. Today we are going to speak about Taqwa. I'm going to remind you of the necessity and the obligation of Taqwa. Taqwa is usually translated as fear of Allah. Is a lot more than that. It's an state, it's a condition, it's not an idea. It's to enter into an understanding of yourself where you realize the only place to find cover and protection is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The act of taqwa is therefore like taking refuge in Allah, admitting His sovereignty and His power. You take refuge in Him, in understanding that He is both. He has the power to protect you, and He has the power to hold you. You exist because of Him. Taqwa is necessary to understand life. It's necessary to understand the Quran. Is ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا غَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. It's therefore, it has cognitive capacity. It's not just a feeling. It's not a feeling. It is cognition. It doesn't come from the stomach. And it doesn't come from the mind. It comes from the heart. It comes from the chest. And therefore it's cognition in as much as it alters the meaning of everything. It gives meaning to the things that you're observing and you are realizing. It changes everything around you. This cognitive capacity of taqwa is what indicates that it comes from the heart. On the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders taqwa. Is not simply something that you may or may not do. It's ordered by Allah. Ittaqu. Ittaqu Allah is ordered by Allah, by the order of Allah. And that means that it's obligatory upon you to understand it and to own it and to have it with you. And there is no better month in the whole of the year than the month of Ramadan in order to achieve this which is obligatory to you. Obligatory because it changes, it gives you wisdom, it gives you understanding. It allows you to understand what is happening around you. The more taqwa that you acquire, the more you advance of your knowledge. And that means that taqwa is not on and off, but is a path in itself. Nobody except the person who doesn't have taqwa says he has taqwa. The people who have taqwa will tell you they are trying, they are acquiring, they are in the path of acquiring more taqwa, because there is the full extent of taqwa. It's like the full extent of sincerity. If you had absolute, complete taqwa, then you will cease to have will of your own. You will become an angel. You will cease to be human. Your will disappear. You will not have a way to return. This is the extent of taqwa. We advance in taqwa by observing, by becoming aware, by realizing, by admitting the reality of our existence, by embracing the truth, because the truth is to have taqwa, is to realize that we depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely. Our dependence on Him is absolute. In His power, He overwhelms all existence. There is no power like Him. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is no second to Him. There is nothing comparable to Him. There is nothing that it can challenge Him. the possibility is impossible. That's the extent of the power of Allah. And therefore, to take a refuge upon Him is nothing but embracing your own reality, to become aware of yourself in the sincerity of your acts of worship during this month of Ramadan. Taqwa is one of the benefits. And recognizing your reality is recognizing Taqwa. Taqwa is not something but the realization of who you are. And realizing who you are will in itself trigger more Taqwa in you. What is allowed and what is not allowed? How do you see yourself? This all depends on Taqwa. People have an opinion of themselves, and they go around doing the things they do in their daily life, and they justify it. The good things they justify, and the bad things they justify. They justify everything because it is part of the nature of man to justify, to put a narrative to the things he does. All that is an opinion. But the only opinion that matters in regard to what is the meaning of your life is the opinion that Allah has of you. That is the opinion that you want to seek. And in the face of it, in the face of what Allah is demanding from you, what you actually do, in the face of it, nobody, except the fools, except the insincere, will come out of this with one smile in the face. Because what comes out of the realization, this realization, simply switching from the opinion you have of yourself and the opinion that Allah has of yourself, just that switch, from being the observer to being the one observed, in that switch, everything changes. Meaning is restored. Because there is no meaning except fantasy in the opinion you have of yourself. But there is nothing but truth in the opinion that Allah has of you. And to bow to that authority and to recognize that you are the one being measured. That is wisdom, and the result is Taqwa. You, at that moment, nothing, the only valid action for you is to fear Allah and to turn to Him, recognize His power, and then you start to see there is wisdom in this affair, and the result is not ideas. The result of Taqwa is basira. You can see. And you can see in terms of possibilities of acting. You can see what is around you and what you can do on account of the extent of your basira. The wider is your basira, the more possibilities you see. The better is your understanding. And this is all labor of the heart. And the labor of the heart consists of love and fear. Both have the capacity to bring to presence. Love of Allah brings to presence Allah. Fear of Allah brings to presence Allah. Love and Taqwa. And bringing Allah to presence is knowledge itself. You don't have to look for something strange, some divinations or some charters or some patterns in existence in order to acquire wisdom of your life, but only to recognize that Allah is all you need. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. That you depend on Him, and everything about you depends on Him. Not only just your existence, but your acts and the condition of the heart. all belongs to Him. And the realization of this has, on one account, brings you closer to Him in love, because you realize your heart belongs, desires Allah. And on the other hand, the fear of Allah in taking refuge of His power, of His might. Under the gaze of the power of Allah, you take refuge in Him, from Him, in Him. And this is wisdom, and this allows you to see. For this month of Ramadan is a month in which we fast, we don't eat, and we move away from every act which is prohibited. Every act which is prohibited. Not only the ones that they are in your narrative of what is forbidden. It's not what you say is forbidden and is not forbidden that matters. It's what Allah says is forbidden and is not forbidden. And if you act in something which is forbidden during the month of Ramadan, there is no fasting. There is no value in the fasting. So to act on something which is forbidden consciously invalidates the whole of Ramadan. Like, for example, what has been said about insulting, giba, to speak bad about other people, that invalidates the prayer. How about doing something which is forbidden, truly forbidden, during the act of Ramadan? Well, it has been said that it's multiplied. What is forbidden in it and the punishment that is associated to it is multiplied because of Ramadan, because of the very sacredness of this month, and because you are in an act of ibadah, of a big ibadah, all which is forbidden, including the things that this generation have decided it doesn't exist, like riba, is part of this month of Ramadan. And the only chance that you may have by the mercy of Allah is that even though we find ourselves in a system that is usurious, we participate whether we like it or not. That you don't normalize it, but you use this month in order to find the courage and the wisdom and the understanding in order to fight it, to eliminate it. That may be that by the mercy of Allah, then this Ramadan is valid. And this is fear of Allah. The realization both of what is forbidden and the realization of both your capacity to eliminate it. Those who say it's impossible, they are munafiqun. If Allah has made something forbidden, He has given us the means to eliminate it. If you don't see it, it's because you are blind. Seek knowledge from those people who can see, and then you will be able to act upon it. For it is indeed our messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet of Allah, to whom we owe everything that we have in this month of Ramadan. For it is by virtue of him that we have Ramadan. The Christians and the Jews and the prophets behind didn't bring Ramadan or Laylat al-Qadr. It's by the mercy of him that he opened up this window of blessings for which we all benefit. This is Ramadan. I remind you to have taqwa of Allah, to desire taqwa, to ask Allah for taqwa, and don't be scared of Allah, because Allah is merciful. Be scared of yourself, of your blindness, of your covering up, but Don't deter yourself from the fact that Allah has given you all the means to succeed. Gather during this month with the best of your heart in prayer. Ask Allah for forgiveness and ask Allah for wisdom and basira, that it will lead you to success. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.